Okay. And then Jiva Goswami quotes verses from Pippalada Shaka. Yeah, I have to share the. He quotes verses from Pippalada Shaka, Mahanarayana Upanishad, Narsimha Tapani Upanishad, to show that Vaikuntha is the eternal abode of the Lord, transcendental abode of the Lord. And again, he mentions that these mantras cannot be applied to the unqualified Brahman because those mantras contain words which would make such an interpretation impossible. So when it is mentioned that worshipable by gods like Brahma, it cannot refer to Brahman because the impersonal Brahman, being unqualified, indescribable, and inconceivable, cannot be the object of worship through words. It cannot be the object of meditation. And there also there was statement that yogis who enter never come back. This also cannot refer to the impersonal Brahman because Brahman, being devoid of divisions, it is without interior and an exterior. It cannot be exhibited or it cannot be entered. It cannot be entered into nor it can be exited from. So therefore, the impersonal Brahman cannot be entered in those mantras because it does not have any manifest characteristics that would make these actions entering possible in regard to it. And also in the Narsimha Tapana Upanishad mantra which was quoted, there was a word mantra raja dhyapaka. Mantra raja adhyapaka. Mantra raja adhyapaka means a teacher. Mantra raja, teacher of the Vedas. This is reference to Sri Vishnu or Krishna, who originally gave the Vedas to Brahma, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikave. Therefore, Paramam Dama refers to Vaikuntha. Mantra Raja Adhyapaka, it refers to Krishna, the teacher of the Vedas. That means it refers to Krishna only. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikave. Therefore, it must be referring to Krishna Loka or Vaikuntha Loka. And Krishna also confirms that Natad Basayate Suryo Nana Shashanko Na Pavakaha Yadgatvan Nivartanti Tadama Paramamama. How the Vaikuntha is self-effulgent, does not depend on sun or moon for illumination. And Jiva Goswami also quoted a series of verses from the Vishnu Purana spoken by Parashara Muni to Maitreya Muni. So Parashara Muni explained the structure of the universe in the previous chapter and he described the different planetary systems. And then in those 5 verses which are quoted, they describe Dhruva's planet. And Sridhar Swami, in his Atma Prakasha commentary, I think on Vishnu Puran, he says that the last of these verses explains the meaning of the 2 Vedic mantras from Rig Veda. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah. So Dhruva's planet is compared to the heart of the universal form. Therefore, it is the residence of Vishnu. Because Krishna says that Paramatma resides in the heart of all beings. So it is on the northern side. Dhruva Loka is above the Saptarishi Loka. So that Dhruva Loka is also called as the North Star, North Pole. It's also called as the, indeed, it is a pole star which is also called the North Star. So somebody can read in Vedic astronomy.
Balkrishna Prabhu, will you read? In Vedic astronomy, it is counted as the third planetary system from the Earth. Devotees who are free from material contamination see this planet as effulgent as the sun. This implies that Dhruva is transcendental, which is confirmed in Narsimha Tapani Upanishad, where it is said that the material objects like the sun, moon, or air do not exist in Vaikuntha. But this does not mean there is no sun, moon, or air in Vaikuntha.
So Dhruvaloka, those verses which Parashar Muni speaks to Maitreya Rishi, it is about the Dhruvaloka. So, so Dhruvaloka is mentioned as a transcendental and it's also confirmed in Narsimha Tapani Upanishad. So somebody can raise an objection that in the Bhagavatam, verses from the Dhruva Charitra which are cited in this anuccheda, that Dhruva Maharaj, after getting the benediction from Lord Vishnu told that he will rule this earth for 36,000 years and then he will attain Dhruva Loka. But then Bhagavatam mentions that Dhruva Maharaj was not content after Vishnu blessed him. So that means maybe Dhruva Loka is not the highest planet, like that one may think. But why Dhruva Maharaj lamented? Why he was not content? The reason why he was not content was that he had petitioned the Lord to grant him a finite boon, ayache yad antavat, rather than asking for liberation. So that the 4.9.29 and 31, it would seem to imply that Dhruvaloka, the abode he attained, must be temporary and inferior to Mukti. Otherwise, why would he lament? One may think that Lord told him that you will attain Dhruvaloka. But when Vidura asked the question, why Dhruva Maharaj lamented, Maitreya Rishi said that Dhruva Maharaj felt that instead of asking for Mukti, I asked for something, I aspired for something which has an end. So one may think that maybe Dhruva Maharaj, it would appear that Dhruvaloka has an end. Dhruvaloka will be destroyed. A Dhruvaloka must be temporary. Like that one can come to the conclusion. But Jiva Goswami responds by saying that these verses depict Dhruva's despondency for having desired material gain when he began his bhakti. When he began his bhakti was egoistically motivated. That is why he lamented. So only after getting darshan of the Lord, he realized his pettiness. So although the Lord blessed him that he will attain Dhruvaloka, but Dhruva Maharaj, by remembering his original intention, he lamented. Because it's not because that Dhruva Maharaj did not, it's not that Dhruva Maharaj thought that Dhruvaloka is temporary, Lord has given me a temporary abode, therefore he lamented. That's not the point. Dhruva Maharaj lamented because he felt that he began his bhakti with a egoistic material motivation. Otherwise, Vidura's question would make no sense. That Vidura's question, Sudurlabam yat paramam padam harer, Maya vinasta charanarchanarjitam, Labdvap asiddhartam ivaika janmana, Katam swam atmanam amanyatartavit. So Vidura's question, Sudurlabam, My dear Brahmana, the supreme abode of Sri Hari is Sudurlabham, is a most rare achievement and can be earned only by worshipping the Lord's lotus feet and not by those who have material desires. Dhruva reached this abode in a single lifetime, and he also knew the true value of that abode. Still, he was unhappy, thinking himself to be yet incomplete. Therefore, Dhruva Maharaj's reason for lamentation is not because that Dhruvaloka is a temporary. No, the reason for lamentation was that he began his bhakti with a egoistic material motivation. Because in that shloka, in Vidura's question, word Sudurlabam is there and then Arthavit is also mentioned. Dhruva Maharaj knew the true goal of life. And he achieved that goal, the abode of the Lord. So why should he lament? So were Vaikuntha not the topmost abode, his lamentation would have been justified. And there would have been no need for Vidura to inquire into it. So if the Vaikuntha is not the topmost abode, then Dhruva Maharaj, oh, I didn't achieve the topmost abode, so therefore I am lamenting. Dhruva Maharaj thought like that, could have thought like that. But then, and Vidura's question also would not make sense. So the Vidura's question is that Dhruva Maharaj achieved that most rare abode by worshipping the Lord's lotus feet and in a single lifetime, and he knew the true value of that abode. Still, why was he dissatisfied? That is the question of Vidura. So therefore, those verses, Dhruva was dissatisfied after hearing the Lord's benediction, cannot be interpreted to mean that Dhruvaloka is a temporary. Now, the reason for Dhruva's lamentation is because he began his bhakti with a material motivation. That is the sincerity. Rather, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj gave some very profound classes on those shlokas. 4th canto, 8th chapter, I think 31 to 37, some 2 or 3 classes are there, very profound classes. So Jiva Goswami goes on to cite verses from the Bhagavatam that clearly show that Dhruvaloka is the abode of Vishnu and beyond the material gunas. Although it is situated within the material universe. If Dhruvaloka is transcendental, how much more transcendental the original Vaikuntha is, which is beyond the material universe. And Jiva Goswami confirms this by quoting the Vedanta Sutra. In the Govinda Bhashya commentary to that particular Vedanta Sutra, 4.4.19, Baladev Vidya Bhushan comments that the word Vikara in the Sutra means a material object that undergoes 6 changes. But the Lord's abode is free from such Vikara. Therefore, the Lord's abode is called as Vikara Varti, the changeless existence. So, whenever it is mentioned, the Lord's abode within the material world is annihilated. Like Dwaraka, we have to understand that only the external feature is destroyed. But the inner core of whether Dwaraka or Dhruvaloka, whichever abode of the Lord, inner core is neither created nor destroyed. It simply becomes manifest and unmanifest just like the Lord. This is also clear from the statements of Shukdev Goswami describing the Lord's disappearance. Dwarakam harina tyaktam samudro plavayat kshanat varjayitva maharaja Srimat Bhagavadalayam Nityam Sannihitastatra Bhagavan Madhusudanah Mrityashesha Shubharam Sarvamangala Mangalam. So can somebody read this translation? O Maharaj, once abandoned.
And in contrast to whatever you also mentioned just now about how that it's only the inside, it doesn't get, it just becomes unmanifest, right? So, and Hiranyakashipu just said, because of his bodily identification, he said, it's only Satya Loka which remains. Other things like Vaikuntha gets destroyed, right? Is it something like that? Yeah. O Maharaj, once abandoned by Supreme Lord Sri Hari, the entire city of Dwarka was inundated by the ocean, with the single exception of the Lord's personal residence. Lord Madhusudan, eternally resides there, the simple remembrance of which destroys all inauspiciousness and bestows the another word is bestows the greatest benefit to all.
So here it's mentioned that Lord Madhusudan eternally resides there. So these two verses make it clear that the Lord's abode, even when manifested in the material world, is eternal only. In fact, Jiva Goswami explains in the commentary to these two shlokas, that is 11.31.23, that the manifest pastimes of the Lord contain or employ certain elements that belong to the material creation. So the creation of Dwaraka by Vishwakarma and the bringing of the Sudharma assembly from the heaven are examples of this. So only these material sectors, they were destroyed by the ocean and not the eternal Dwaraka, which becomes unmanifest simultaneously. And this is also confirmed in the Vishnu Puran, that Vishnu Puran states that Plavayamasa tam shunyam Dwarakam cha mahodadihi Yadu Shreshta Griham Tvekam Naplavayata Sagaraha. The ocean submerged the empty Dwaraka, but it did not submerge the house of the Lord of the Yadus. The house of the Lord refers to the complete planet, as it is the abode of the Lord. The material part of Dwaraka was empty because all the Yadavas had gone to Pindaraka Kshetra for a picnic, and under divine inebriation killed each other there. So Yadavas were actually gods who came to participate in his pastimes and the Lord's order. So those devatas who appeared to assist the Krishna, they went to Pindaraka Kshetra. But the eternally liberated associates of the Lord, Nitya Siddha associates of Krishna, they remained in Dwaraka in an unmanifest form. So, but those devatas who came to assist in Krishna's pastime, they went to Pindaraka Kshetra and they got destroyed in a fratricidal war. And after getting destroyed, they returned back to their Devaloka in order to continue their services there. And then Jiva Goswami quotes this verse from the 7th canto. When Hiranyakashipu, when he went to perform austerities in Mandrachala mountain, he claimed that Vishnu Loka was temporary and therefore he had no interest in it. So because Hiranyakashipu was rooted in atheism, materialism, therefore he could not understand Vaikuntha's transcendental nature. Again, Hiranyakashipu had reference only to the material part, which is nevertheless connected with the abode of the Lord. But devotees are never disturbed by such statements of Hiranyakashipu or other people. So materialism reduces reality to surface only, like the outer shell of a coconut, without any inkling of the fruit and juice lying within the coconut. So similarly, statements made by personalities like Hiranyakashipu or people with such mindset, such statements are made in ignorance. They cannot affect those people who know the reality. And then Jiva Goswami quotes verses from Padma Puran, Narada Pancharatra, Brahmanda Puran, Itihasa Samuchaya, and Skanda Puran, all of which describe the transcendental and the blissful nature of Vaikuntha. All these verses confirm the Rigveda mantra, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah. Therefore, any Siddhanta has to be established based on Shruti Prasthana, Smriti Prasthana, and Nyaya Prasthana. So, based on the statements of Shruti Prasthana, Rigveda mantra, Smriti Prasthana, Puranas, and the Nyaya Prasthana, the commentary and the Vedanta Sutra, Vikaravarti, it is concluded that Vaikuntha is a transcendental abode. So sometimes the radical non-dualists, that means the impersonalists, interpret the word Pada and Dhamma to mean Brahman. But such explanations are muddled because there are numerous places where the Lord refers to Vaikuntha as Matsthana. Sthana, Loka, and Puri, they mean a place or a world. So therefore, there is no need to resort to some secondary meaning when the primary meaning is clear. So when Param Brahma, which can in the appropriate context refer to Brahman, appears with any of the words Loka, Sthana, or Pada, it is highly improper to divide the words into separate sentences. This is a defect called as Vakya Beda. It is comparable to separating the word Lord from the word Hari in the statement, this is Sri Hari. Or the word Lord from the word Hari in the statement, this is, or maybe we have to say Sri Hari. So when the Param Brahma is used in a particular sentence, and then Loka, Sthana, or Pada are used in a sentence, so you should not separate the sentences, saying that Param Brahma refers to Brahman and Loka, Sthana, Pada refers to the impersonal Brahman. This will refer to the dosha called as Vakya Beda. So Jiva Goswami says that such people are put to shame by these Puranic verses and recommends that they be driven back with the weapon-like verses that establish Vaikuntha as a transcendental abode and one that cannot be attained by karma, yoga, or jnana. So considering the Lord's body or his abode as material is a gross misinterpretation of the Vedas. Such explanations lead a person away from the real meaning and thus deny them the possibility of higher completion in Bhagavan, who by his very nature includes and transcends indeterminate Brahman. Who by his very nature includes and transcends the indeterminate Brahman. Bhagavan includes the impersonal Brahman and transcends it. So Vaishnava can never tolerate this. Therefore, Jiva Goswami uses harsh words against such misinterpreters. So therefore, summary, the 9 characteristics of Vaikuntha have been summarized, which I began with those 9 characteristics. This is how we completed the 72nd Anucheda. The 73rd Anucheda, we will just go through it quickly.
Prabhuji, you can explain that Lord and that Sri Hari thing again? Maybe I was not attentive. That's why I'm not understanding.
What he's trying to say is that See, this is Sri Hari, or this is Lord Hari, suppose if we say. I think this should be mentioned Sri Hari or Lord Hari should be mentioned. You should not say that the Lord refers to somebody else and Hari refers to somebody else. When I say this is Lord Hari, you cannot interpret as the word Lord refers to somebody and Hari refers to somebody. This kind of interpretation is called as Vakya Beda. There's a mistake here. This kind of defective interpretation is called as Vakya Beda. So similarly, Jiva Goswami says that when the Param Brahma word is used in a particular verse, and the same verse, Param Brahma, appears with other words like Loka, Sthana, or Pada. So Param Brahma can refer to the impersonal Brahman. Param Brahma can refer to impersonal Brahman. But when Param Brahma appears with the words Loka, Matsthana, or Loka, or Pada, then the Param Brahma can refer to only Bhagavan, because it is appearing with the words Loka, Sthana, Pada. But if somebody interprets by separating those sentences, Param Brahma is referring to impersonal Brahman, Loka, Sthana, Pada refers to somebody else. Loka, Sthana refers to some other place. Just to then this kind of interpretation is called as Vakya Beda. That is what he's saying. It is highly improper to divide the words into separate sentences. Because Param Brahma is appearing with Thana, Loka, or Pada. So therefore, they are referring to the Vaikuntha only. They are not referring to, if somebody interpret those sentences by dividing those words into separate sentences in order to justify that they refer to Sthana, Pada, etc., refer to impersonal Brahman, then it would, that's a wrong interpretation. That's what Jiva Goswami says.
Thank you.
So 73rd anuccheda, only that we will take. It's a short, there's no commentary involved in this.
Prabhuji, the chakara is and, right?
Chakara
Chaka
means, now the
and.
meaning is and.
And. So it's not Lord and Hari, no? It's Lord Hari, no? I mean, he's not writing as. So then.
So it's an English sentence, Lord Hari.
Okay.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have a simple question. When the Dhruva is translated to Vaikuntha, what is the position of Dhruva Maharaj in the Dhruva? Is he a king or is he a resident? Or
yeah, he is the king of the Dhruva.
He is the king of the Dhruva. And the Lord Kshirodakshayi Vishnu resides there.
Yes.
And he keeps on serving the Lord, correct?
Yes.
Now this is in the material world. Now what is the difference, main difference between the real Vaikuntha and Dhruva?
Dhruva is the Avesha of the, like I give an example of like, American Embassy in India. Just like Vrindavan, Bhauma Vrindavan and Goloka Vrindavan.
Okay.
Yeah, the same concept. Sri Rangam is called as Bhuloka Vaikuntha.
Yes.
Similarly, Dhruva is also Vaikuntha within the material world.
But do you mean that in the Dhruva there are no Vishnu Dutas? They are saintly people only, pure devotees?
Only pure Vaishnavas.
Pure Vaishnava, not the Vishnu Dutas. They don't have that criteria like Sarashti, Samipya, Sarupya. No gradation like that.
There are 4 types of mukti. The residents of Dhruva are pure devotees.
Pure devotee. Okay. But then this is quite obvious if the Lord Dhruva Maharaj has the knowledge that he is elevated from the kingdom for where he ruled almost 36,000 years. And again, further, he is elevated to rule the Dhruva Loka, where he is not in the association of Vishnu Dutas.
No, see,
Was that a
Dhruvaloka,
reason for his unhappiness?
the reason for his unhappiness is that he began his bhakti with a material motivation. That is the reason for his unhappiness.
Yeah, but that doesn't, I mean, if I humbly request you to answer, is it not is a kind of a punishment to him because he started his bhakti with a material motive, so he still kept in a material world and he was not allowed to promote to the Vaikuntha, real original Vaikunthas?
No. Dhruvaloka is Vaikuntha only.
Yeah,
So
but
he
then
was
there
told
is no
he
Vishnu
will rule
Dutas.
this world for 36,000 years, and then he will go to Dhruvaloka, and then and then Dhruvaloka, and then after that he will also go to the Vaikuntha beyond the material world.
Oh, then that means he will be further going. I thought that he is
Yes.
eternally situated in the Dhruvaloka to rule.
He will go to Vaikuntha beyond the material world.
Acha, he will be going. ठीक है, that clears my doubt. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, we can say that the difference between Dhruva Loka and the material world and the actual Vaikuntha is that the Jiva Goswami says that within the material world is Dhruva Loka, and when Brahmanda is destroyed, only the external surface of this Vaikuntha is destroyed. Internal core of the Vaikuntha within the material becomes unmanifest, but wherein in Vaikuntha nothing like this happens. Is this okay to say like?
Yeah, in the Vaikuntha beyond the material world, there is no destruction only. In the Dhruvaloka, which is there within the material world, the material world is destroyed, the external core is destroyed, the internal thing becomes unmanifest. Yes. So we'll go to the 73rd anuccheda. We'll quickly go through it. Vaikuntha has numerous manifestations. Tadetat Shri Vaikuntasya Swarupam Nirupitam. So this concludes the description of the essential features of Vaikuntha. Tacha Yata Shri Bhagavaneva Kvachit Purnatvena Kvachid Amshatvena Cha Vartate Tata Eva Iti. It should be noted that Vaikuntha has many distinct manifestations in the same way that the Lord sometimes manifests fully and sometimes partially. Bhagavaneva kvachit purnatvena, kvachit amshatvena. So, Bhagavas tasyapi bedaha, padmottara kandadau drashtavyaha. So, these include the abodes of Vishnu's different forms. Bhagavas tasyapi bedaha padmottara kandadau drashtavyaha yeshu Shri Matsya Devadinamapi Padani Vartante Tadeva Suchayati. So these include the abodes of Vishnu's different forms like Matsya Deva, which are described in the Uttara Kanda of the Padma Purana. So the different manifestations of Vaikuntha are like the abode of Matsya Avatar, abode of Varaha Avatar, abode of the different forms of the Lord. Just like the Bhagavan manifests sometimes fully a certain opulence, sometimes partially. Similarly, Vaikuntha also sometimes manifests fully, sometimes partially. And the different manifestations of the Vaikuntha are the abodes of the different forms of the Lord. Example, he gives a shloka from 3rd canto, 19th chapter, at the end of the Varaha Dev description. एवं हिरण्याक्षमसह्य विक्रमं ससादयित्वा हरिरादिसूकरः जगामलोकं स्वमकण्डितोत्सवम् समीडितपुष्करविष्टरादिभिः. Having thus killed the oppressively powerful Hiranyaksha, Hiranyaksham Asahya Vikramam, having killed Hiranyaksha, Sri Hari, the Adi Sukara, the primal boar, Lokam Jagama, returned to his own abode, where celebrations continue without interpretation. Swam Akandita Utsavam, Swam Lokam Jagama. What is the nature of that abode? Akandita Utsavam. There is uninterrupted celebration. And all the while, he was praised by Brahma and other gods. Pushkara Vishtaradibihi Samiditaha. So here we see Swamlokam Jagama. The abode of Varagadev mentioned in the shloka, it refers to a manifestation of Vaikuntha. So the word Sadayitva means Hatva, after having killed Hiranyaksha. Pavitra Ropa Prasange Chaivamaha Bodhayanaha. So in the section called as Pavitra Aropana Festival, Bodhayana similarly said. Bodhayana similarly said. So this is cited in the Haribhakti Vilasa. Next shloka. Yevam yakkurute vidvan varshe varshena samshayah sayati paramam sthanam yatra devo nrikeshari. In this way, vidvan, a learned man, varshe varshe, who observes the ceremony every year, sa paramam sthanam yati, goes to that supreme abode where Nrikeshari refers to Narsimhadev, where Sri Narsimha resides. So this shloka is referring to the abode of Narsimhadev. This is an example of another Vaikuntha. This is an example of the manifestation of another Vaikuntha. And then Jiva Goswami quotes a shloka from Vayu Purana. Vayu Puraneti Shivapuram api tadvat shruyate. The abode of Lord Shiva is also described in a similar fashion in the Vayu Purana. Andaughasya samantatu sannivishto ganodadihi samantadyena toyena dharyamanassa tishtati bahyato ghanato yasya tiryagurdhvam cha mandalam dharyamanam samantatu tishtate ganatejasa ayo guda nibo vakhni samantat mandalakritihi samantat ganabhatena dharyamanassa tishtati ghanavatam tatakasho dharyamanastu tishtati bhutadishcha tatakasham bhutadimcha tata mahan vyapto hyanantena अव्यक्तेन तु धार्यते अनंतम अनंतम अपरिव्यक्तम अनादिनिधनं च तत् तमेव निरालोकम अमर्यादमदेशिकम तमसोन्ते च विख्यातम आकाशान्ते च भास्वरम मर्यादायाम अतस्तस्य शिवस्यायतनं महत् त्रिदशान् अमगम्यं तु स्थानं दिव्यमिति श्रुतिः. So you can read the translation, then we'll end. The Vayu Purana shloka about the Lord Shiva's abode. A deep ocean of water.
Balakrishna Prabhuji, are you okay to read? The abode of Lord Shiva is described in a similar fashion in Vayu Purana. A deep ocean of water surrounds the universal egg Brahmanda. Beyond this water, above and on all sides, there is a spherical effulgence which holds the water. This fire is like a hot ball of iron, making a circular orbit and is surrounded by a dense air that suspends it. The dense air is held by the sky. The sky is surrounded by the Tanmatras, which in turn are covered by the Mahat. The Mahat is upheld and pervaded by the unmanifest and limitless Pradhan from all sides. This Pradhan is boundless, unmanifest, without beginning or end, and is tamas or dark. There is no light in it. It is limitless and not divided by directions. Beyond the tamas and sky exists the great place of Lord Shiva, which is well known and effulgent. This transcendental place cannot be attained by the gods. This is the verdict of the Shruti.
So, this abode of Shiva is also another manifestation of Vaikuntha. So, in this Anuccheda, Jiva Goswami has given how there are many manifestations of Vaikuntha. He gave the example of Varagadev's abode from the Bhagavatam, and he gave the example of Narsimhadev's abode from the verse quoted in the Haribhakti Vilas, like Bodhayana has mentioned this sloka. And then he has given the example of Shivaloka, because the verse says that Tamaso Antecha Vikyatam Akashantecha Bhaswaram Maryadam Ayam Atastasya Shivasya Ayatanam Mahat Tridashanam Agamyam. Tridashanam Agamyam means it cannot be attained by any of the Devatas. Thanam Divyam iti Shruti. So this transcendental abode beyond the tamas cannot be attained with the gods. This is the verdict of the Shruti. So in this shloka, in this Anucheda, he has given how Vaikuntha has different manifestations. So I think we will end here. We'll continue the 74th Anucheda next week.
Haribo?
Hare Krishna.
Does it mean that the abode of Shiva is part of Mahatattva?
No, it is beyond Mahatattva. If you see, beyond Mahatattva it is there. So the Mahat is upheld and pervaded by the unmanifest, limitless Pradhana from all sides.
Yes.
See, beyond this Brahmanda, there is a covering of, there's a deep ocean of water surrounds the Brahmanda. Beyond the water,
universal egg.
That's the Brahmanda. Universal egg is the Brahmanda. There is a ocean of water surrounds the Brahmanda, and beyond that, there is a spherical effulgence. That means there is a covering of fire. And then beyond the covering of the fire, there is the dense air. And beyond the covering of the dense air, there is the ether or akasha.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, there is tanmatras, covering of tanmatras.
Okay.
And then after the covering of tanmatra, there is mahat, covering of mahat. Okay. And then beyond the mahat covering, there is pradhana.
Okay.
And then this pradhana is boundless, unmanifest, without beginning or an end. And there is no light in it. And beyond this pradhana, beyond this tamas, beyond this pradhana and sky, exists the place of Lord Shiva.
Okay.
Beyond that, actually.
So is it whatever the description you have given over the universal egg, is different than the 7 coverings on the material world. So, in the 11th canto, when Lord took Arjuna for taking to the Karnakshay Vishnu, at the end of universe, they come across the seven coverings.
Yes.
Does it mean these are the coverings which is described here? These are the same covering?
Same thing. Same thing.
Same thing, no? And beyond that is the Shivalok, and then they go, there is the Karnakshay Vishnu.
That Shivaloka is also manifestation of Vaikuntha. Just like American embassy is there in different countries, na? Pakistan has an American embassy, India, Bangladesh, different countries have different embassies are there. Similarly, Vaikuntha has different manifestations. So even in one sense, the temple, Radha Gopinath temple, Radha Rasbihari temple, all these are also manifestations of Vaikuntha. Your temple, your house where the deities are there, that's also manifestation of Vaikuntha. But to the extent we have Vaikuntha consciousness, we can realize that place Vaikuntha.
Yes, that is based on consciousness. So again, I want to reconfirm this Shivalok is beyond the all 7 coverings over the universe.
That is how it is described here. It is clearly mentioned.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, you had mentioned that the living liberated dwell not in the ever changing because of their Vaikuntha consciousness. The living liberated, though in the material world, they live in Vaikuntha because of their consciousness. Yeah, right. Okay. So the temple is actually the subset, right, of our temple, which is in the house. If you worship properly, that becomes a subset of the temple, which is in which the worship is done perfectly. Like
it's
as
like
yourself
a representation
mentioned,
of Radha Gopinath temple. That was the nearest. We generally give more importance to that. The Prana Pratishtha is done. When suppose there is a festival in the local temple, then we put the deities to rest, or sometimes we may, in order to not miss the temple in the local festival, sometimes we may not be able to perform the same worship in the house. But that's all right, as long as we go and participate in the local temple. Because the house is a representation of the local temple. Okay. So we'll stop here.
So though Lord Shiva says that this abode of Sri Vishnu is not known by me, but still, like, he himself is living in a Vaikuntha manifestation. He's living like that.
This is referring to Sadashiva Loka. Sadashiva is a manifestation of Vishnu. There are also Rudras. The Sadashiva is a Vishnu Tattva, but there are like Rudras. They are also sometimes referred by the word Shiva only. That Shiva is in between Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva.
So it occupies the marginal position between Jiva and...
Yes.
So that Sadashi will never get destroyed, right? It is eternal.
Yes. Okay. We'll stop here. Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.